So, my friends, some PSA housekeeping before we begin. I am not actually here right now. I've gone away for a week to sort out some personal issues. So I'm actually recording this a long time before AEW Revolution 2025. I'm sure some news will have broken. I'm sure there's going to be more matches. But I didn't just want to do nothing. Normal progress will resume next week. But we still have the main matches to talk about, and we will start with MJF versus Hangman Page, which is my most anticipated match, or at least one of them. And I just think it's so damn wonderful because I have no idea. It is filled with jeopardy. There are so many different directions you can go. And it's also two kind of, maybe sort of Hangman loses more than MJF. But either way, do you want the Cowboy to lose right now as he is kind of back on his babyface turn? Maxwell Jacob Friedman, though, this is sort of the first quote-unquote proper serious feud he's had for a while. And it does feel like we shifted gears at one point because we were doing all the Dustin Rhodes stuff and the Jeff Jarrett stuff. Then he just beat them and we moved them to one side in order to get here. And even though we do have the Swerve Ricochet #1 contender match, which of course we will talk about later too, I kind of feel like whoever wins this is also going to make a play for the World Championship. And if Swerve is going for the world title and Hangman could win this, then go on there as well. Have they ever fought when the World Championship is on the line? I'm not 100% sure they have. That could be totally wrong. But maybe there are some long-term plans here. But when I sat down to think about it, I was just like this. I was totally perplexed. I was like, I don't know what you do. And I think you should get a program out of this. I mean, AEW often likes to do one match, then people kind of spin off and do other things, which is fine if that's the way they approach wrestling. I don't think you need to get too crazy about it, as long as you do enjoy what you are seeing on the screen. But this, to me, feels like a different environment, a different way to do things. I can't remember what the next show is, probably a Double or Nothing, but that's not until like June, which is way too far away. But we'll have some television specials and some other things I'm not talking about. I think Dynasty fits in there. Oh, I don't know. There's too many pay-per-views by all companies in 2025. But they should do 3. We should go proper WWE, which is not a thing. It's just what wrestling has done for years. So I mean, usually the heel should win the first one. I think MJF should probably win this because I think he can do something so dastardly, so awful, so shenanigan that Hangman Page is totally protected. Then we should get to the second match and Hangman should win that. And I think Hangman should ultimately win the third one as well because I believe within the next 12 months, if not sooner, Hangman Page should be the AEW World Champion. I mean, they both feel like proper AEW OGs, but just because Moxley is the heel champion right now, and I'm sure we'll get a babyface champion in between, I just like the idea of Hangman's redemption arc, which is about his 72nd redemption arc, ending with him being the champion, and maybe the Young Bucks can come back and you can reform the Elite as well. You could probably get away with that. I think it's been long enough, but I think the match is going to be great. I think they're both underrated in many ways, be it their overall, in terms of overall wrestling characters, personas, in-ring workers, they're right up there. They would succeed in any promotion, but I'm going to go with MJF. And I have zero confidence in this at all. I'm also going to throw a random one in there because, again, it hasn't officially been announced, but surely we're going to do Willow Nightingale versus Marina Shafir. And that's a super interesting match because I don't think we've seen Marina Shafir on a pay-per-view for a long time, at least not in a high-caliber match. And I think Willow Nightingale should win. Now, that's kind of interesting because Marina has been the person walking around going, oh, I'm so tough. And she is tough. She can whip your ass and mine with the briefcase sort of like attached to her hand and stuff. But I just don't think Willow Nightingale can lose. I don't think she should be losing. I think she's lost a lot recently. And she hasn't been overly featured, which I find crazy. Now, I understand that Toni Storm and Mariah May are fighting over the AEW Women's Championship, and it's brilliant. It's one of the best feuds that AEW has ever done. But the future is Willow Nightingale. She's my, Hangman on the female side. I think the plan within 6, 8, 12 months should be that she has the championship, and we go on a mega run because people want to support her. Even when she does come and go, she comes back and people are like, oh my gosh, Willow, I love you so much. And when you do have a character like that, I think you have to reward the fans by saying, this is our guy, this is our person, this is our champion. They're going to go on a crazy run and they'll eventually lose it. Again, it doesn't have to be that long. It can be long. I like long title reigns. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think Stone Cold Steve Austin culminatively, can never say that word, so with all of his reigns, was barely champion. I mean, it may have been shy of a year. So he was a world champion however many times it was, 7 or 8, or whatever the flub, probably less than that. And he never actually held it for more than a year total across all of them because it was much more fun watching him chase the title and the fans were still getting what they wanted. We should still make Marina Shafir be an absolute badass here. I really like Marina. I think she does great work, and I think she gets away with her sort of silent persona because she is legit, man. And it's rare that you get legit people in wrestling that you could totally buy in. So she should absolutely take sort of 90% of this match, but I think you've got to give it to Willow. And yeah, I think we need to belt Willow up. I hate that phrase, but I've used it now. Somebody punch me in the face. But if this does happen, There's every chance it doesn't. I'm giving it to Willow. And we will talk about Toni Storm versus Mariah May. I think a stipulation will be added to this, maybe on Collision. I'm recording this the day before Collision on the Friday, the 28th. So you may already know about this by now because Toni Storm is going to cut a promo. Obviously can't do a steel cage, but I don't think there's any crazy hardcore matches on this show. So it should be a crazy hardcore match. They can come up with a silly name from it, like a cinematography classic. That doesn't work. Well, that's a better... I don't know. A film massacre, a movie massacre match. There you go. You can have a movie massacre match. Imagine it's called that now. I don't know. If I've got that right, that is completely come out of left field and I don't know. Again, this won't be going up to the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or whatever. You're never going to believe it now. I should have got on a newspaper and pointed at it anyway. That doesn't matter. But I think it should be bloody. I think it should be brutal. You rarely see AEW miss that they're very good at advertising matches that are going to be absolutely like, oh my gosh, and delivering on it. But Toni Storm's got to win. I think it should be the end of the feud as well. Absolutely. I don't think you need to carry it on anymore. They've done their work. They've done their job, and they both come out the other side bigger stars. And Toni Storm has only just won the belt back. But mostly that character is so over now. I just want to see her fight other people. It's as simple as that. It's a shame that Chris Statlander isn't still a heel because I think that would be wonderful and obviously presents a completely different challenge to what Mariah May is. I'm trying to think who it could be at the moment. Who could step up? I have no idea. Again, I'd like it to be Willow, but that doesn't make sense either. But yeah, they should kill each other. It should be awful. It should be horrible. And even though Toni Storm wins, you're like, well, they both win because they put so much effort in. And they will both go on to do amazing stuff. Like I said, they've really established themselves in that division. But it's just time for that belt to be fought over by other people. Mariah May winning the title at Wembley was the right thing to do, but we never really got stuck in to a brand new feud. So hopefully that will be the agenda as well. But Toni Storm retains her title. Everybody is happy. Apart from them, because they're probably going to be covered in blood. We're also going to do the Hurt Syndicate versus someone. Now, it's either going to be the Outriders or the Murder Machines. You can even do a three-way, and again, you can easily set that up on Dynamite or Collision. But the reason I'm happy to talk about it is because it's not time to take it off the Hurt Syndicate. I really want the Young Bucks to come back soon and to do the Hurt Syndicate versus the Young Bucks. Because Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus Matt and Nick Jackson, I never thought that was going to go down. I don't think Matthew and Nicholas are going to be in their same character when they do come back, which is why we're leaving it so long. It could even be one of those situations where we're just like, we're not going to talk about it. It always sucks. We shouldn't do it, but I've seen it before. I've no doubt we'll see it again. Hopefully they will prove me wrong and they'll come up with something. But that's why here, again, taking on Brian Cage and Lance Archer, awesome. I'm a huge fan of the Outrunners. I think they represent everything I love about wrestling, always, in the sense they're not the... I think they get way too... Some people say really mean things about them. I believe them to be mean because I'm a weird guy. About their in-ring ability. They're really, really good. They can more than hold their own. But they're not the greatest tag team in the world in terms of in-ring wrestling. But it doesn't matter because they have all these other bits that raise them up there anyway. You can argue there's people that are really good in the ring, but they don't have the character. They don't have the warmth. They don't have the humor. All of that counts when you're trying to be a professional wrestler. I hate it when people only focus on one aspect. But it's just not the right time to take it off the Hurt Syndicate. They're way too dominating. What I do like is that all these tag teams are stepping up, so we're getting these matches, and the AEW tag team has kind of vanished into the abyss recently. So whether it's the Murder Machines, whether it's the Outrunners, the Hurt Syndicate will retain, and then yeah, hopefully it is time for the Young Bucks to come back, and we'll get into that too, because I just never thought I'd see it, and I think it'll be wonderful. And right now, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP are brilliant. We are also getting a steel cage match. Will Osprey versus Kyle Fletcher. Is there any reason for this to be a steel cage match? Not really, but I suppose it keeps the Don Callis family out, so that makes sense. Will just said it on that Australia show. Like, hey, good day, mate. I'm going to take you on a steel cage. Carl Fletcher was like, yeah, mate. Don't know why they're all Australian, but they are. It's going to be brilliant. It arguably is going to be a match of the year contender because they don't know how to do anything else. They're both going to come off the top. They'll probably do a Poison Rana, and I will have some kind of aneurysm because I won't be able to handle it. But I think Will Ospreay has to win. I should have talked about this in the video I did the other day, but I forgot just because he has been so sidetracked. But along with a Swerve Strickland, a Ricochet, a Hangman Page, an MGF, and Adam Copeland, a Christian Cage, a Jay White, Will Ospreay should make it clear, man, I want to come after that title now. I want to be a world champion. It's just, he's so over and he's so good. And Carl Fletcher should be in that conversation, but because I think he's going to lose here, he just needs to spin out, feud with someone else, then absolutely, he should be thrown back into the conversation. There isn't really much to say about it. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be wonderful. They're going to do things you've never seen before. And as ever, they will continue to raise the bar within the wrestling that they love to do. I can't stand it when people go, oh man, they don't know how to wrestle. They do know how to to wrestle. They've come up with their own style, especially Will Osprey. He's basically broken ground for dozens, if not hundreds of wrestlers, which is absolutely nuts. But he should win. He doesn't need to lose again. He has been very, very giving over the last year and a half. And I just think it's time for him to go on, win after win after win after win. Fans are going to be behind him regardless. So when you do that, they're going to be even more behind him. And you'll just feel it in the air. Maybe even peaks in June, July, August, whenever the Flub All In is. Well, actually, no, it's in Texas, isn't it? So maybe it peaks next year in 2026 when they do come back to Wembley. And it will be a moment that we all love. Who cares? I don't care if it's in front of 10,000 people or 100,000 people. Will Osprey winning the World Championship in London, 50 miles or whatever it is from Essex, probably a bit longer than that, to be honest. It's going to be so damn good, but Will Osprey wins. And the only thing that could potentially beat it is Takeshita versus Kenny Omega for the international title. I mean, that is going to be absurd as well. On paper, and again, we haven't even finished building this card by the time I'm predicting it, if you are into what AEW produces in terms of wrestling matches, it's going to blow your mind because it's absolutely tremendous. And once again, I don't find this hard to predict. It's unlike two other ones that I've got on here. We've talked about one already. It absolutely has to be Kenny Omega. That's not taking anything away from Takeshita, who has an amazing future ahead of him. But Kenny Omega is the here and now. Kenny Omega has just come back from this incredible health journey, for lack of a better term. He should win this championship. He should take on whoever he has to. And then at All In Texas, it should be him versus a card around 5. And I don't mind who wins or who loses. That's up for Tony Khan to decide. But we should unite the international and continental titles, essentially making the intercontinental title. But don't call it that. I can't handle the meltdown on the internet. It will break me as a human being. But getting to see that in a stadium on the American soil for the first time, it has legacy, it has history. It's a wonderful story. Sometimes you don't have to overthink wrestling. And Kenny Omega can beat Takeshita for that championship, which Takeshita's had for a while, and it won't affect Takeshita at all because, again, the performances from both sides will be so good. You're not going to go, what a loser. You're like, man, that Takeshita's ridiculous and amazing, and I'm sure you can come up with some amazing near falls. But I would have Kenny Omega be the world champion. But if we're not in the position to do that because the main event scene or that scene is so crowded, give him this one, let him push the belts together, and then let's take that championship and really make it feel like it means something. It's a problem with all of sports entertainment. At the moment, there's too many titles, but you come up with a way to kind of light a fire under one. You give it to someone like Kenny Omega, it's going to be perfectly fine. This also is up there with, I just can't wait to see it because Kenny Omega is one of a kind. He's brilliant. That's another generational talent, and I think once he does retire, hopefully not for a long time, we're going to look back and go, man, we did not praise that guy enough, but I'm going with Ken. Sadly, a match that has no jeopardy whatsoever, and now that I've said this like an idiot, is the TBS title match, which is Mama Wanatambe taking on Mercedes Moné. You'd just be nuts to change it right now. It sounds like we're going to do something with Billy Starks, which is cool. We like Billy Starks. I think the more we can feature her, the better, especially because she is so young and she has such a bright future ahead of her. But they should just have a really, really good match. I'm a bit worried the fans aren't going to buy into it, but you never know with AEW crowds. They kind of make up their own. And Mercedes Moné wins. I would like something to come out of this where Mercedes can have more than a one-match program with someone. I actually think it's really cool. She's clearly gone, I'd like to work with everybody, and everybody's going to be benefiting from working with her too. But the TBS title is kind of like the TNT Championship, which again is being defended on Collision, not on this show. It just needs something. Mercedes is great. She's one of the best in the world. I don't think there's a question about it too, especially as a heel. But she will win, and don't even think she'll cheat, to be honest. There's been other matches she's won where she hasn't cheated. And we'll move on, giving it to Mercedes. Right, number 1 contender match for the AEW World title, which is a big deal. Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet. Now, I'm pretty confident it's going to be Swerve. We have given Ricochet so much. He's already beaten Swerve. He's beaten Will Osprey. Obviously, he's stolen the robe from Prince Nana, so we have to teach kids, don't be a bully and steal things, because you will get your comeuppance. But I don't think this is going to be as cut and dry. I don't think Prince Nana is going to screw over Swerve or anything like that. That does feel a bit too Vince Russo for me. But I do want Ricochet to have something coming out the back of this because this new heel character is wonderful. The way he was dressed on Dynamite, he needs to get a prize. The fact he sat down and gone, I'm going to make myself like the biggest dickhead possible, that's next level, man. That's the kind of stuff that I want. But I think Swerve Strickland is so beloved by AEW audiences, and he has been sidetracked storyline-wise for so long. He does need to be one of these guys that gets hurled back into that Death Rider world title mix. And a great way to do it is by him getting his revenge against Ricochet. Again, it's a feud, it's a program. He's got one, you've got one win. You can do the rubber match down the line. But he should be the champion. He's another guy that really needs to be the champion at some point of time, even though I'm booking everyone to be the champion. But he's so damn good. And what he said on Dynamite is true. Like, he did defend that belt night in, night out. He made something of himself. Maybe at first, sort of the belt defined him. But by the end of it, he defined the belt. He was like, I'm a main event guy. Hence why people were ringing his phone saying, we'd like to hire you if your contract is coming due. And he got he's got his bag, man. He went and got unpaid cash. But, I mean, one of two things are going to happen with Prince Nana. Either he gets his revenge and he boots Ricochet in the balls, which leads to the Swerve Stomp, 1, 2, 3, or he will screw over Strickland. I just can't see the latter. I can see the former. And you want that, right? We've already established the good guy and the bad guy. So even if that does help Swerve win, it doesn't matter. Like, well, Ricochet, you brought that on yourself and you're an absolute goober and don't do it again, but keep dressing that way because it's hilarious. So, yeah, Swerve will win and Swerve will then be tied into the main event scene in some sense. How we do that, I don't know, but this match will be great too. I think people forget how great Ricochet is, and I don't think they forget how good Swerve is, but this will be more exciting because we know, wow, where's it going to lead next? And you're going to get the lovely moment between Prince Nana and Swerve Strickland. One of the cool offshoots of this feud is that we have doubled down on their relationship, and we want that. So we do ask the question, well, why are they even together? Well, now you know Swerve wins. Which brings us to our main event, which will be Adam Copeland, or the Cope, taking on Jon Moxley for the AEW World title. The Death Riders are dead, which is quite ironic given their name. Let's just talk about the crazy ending. I'm going to put it down on paper officially, because this is what I think we should do. I think it should be crazy. I think it should be nuts. Adam Copeland should win. It explains the Grand Slam finish when Jon Moxley choked him out. It can then kind of be stated when Marina Shafir got taken out by Willow. We've lost Pac, we've lost Wheeler Yuta, which will happen in the days after I'm talking to you. Claudio Castagnoli got concertoed, one-on-one. Maybe you can use sort of Jay White in some sense as well. But the Cope wins. And then Christian comes out to sign his contract or whatever we do, and he doesn't do it because Jay White steals the contract and he signs it, which is what we've kind of set up here. And it ends with Jay White being the champion, then you do Cope versus Jay White, and eventually go back to Christian versus Copeland as come time to the tag team. Now, is that sports entertainment? Yes. Is that over the top? Yes. Is it something that I think would absolutely light a fire, to use that term again, under the AEW World title scene? Yes. Even if Cope wins it and holds it for a little while, that's also fine. I just think Jay White ascending to the top as his NJPW heel persona would be great. I don't know how that ties into stuff with Moxie. Maybe he can spin off to do something else. But Jay White as a babyface is fine. Jay White as a heel, based on what I did see in Japan, is brilliant. And when you give him a title as well and say, you can say whatever you want and be a cocky son of a bitch, I just think that works, man. I think it's something that we do want to see. You are going from heel champion to heel champion, which is interesting. But I don't know, maybe we're it is overbooked. That is overbooking professional wrestling. Essentially, I'm saying 3 people are going to be world champion in one night. But it just comes down to the fact that I think we should take the title off Mox. I think it's far better than it has been, but it's been so hit and miss. It would be nice to hit reset a little bit. But I don't think Cope needs to be a long-term champion. He's Adam Copeland. He's the former Edge. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer, quite literally. And he's really good. He puts in so much effort, and he doesn't get the credit that he's due for a 51-year-old man. He is so brilliant at professional wrestling. It's totally crazy. He could hold the title for a little while, like Hulk Hogan did back in 2004, whenever the flop it was, 2002, in WWE. But that's not fair either, because that's a totally different situation. But you could give it to him, but it shouldn't be more than a month. He should be the shortest holding AEW World Champion ever. And I just think if you are going to do that, why not just sort of explode everything on one evening? And it also gets rid of that contract, which at the moment is sort of hanging over our heads and nobody really knows what to do with it. I don't even mind if Christian walks away with the title, but that's the same as what I just said. He needs to do a mini feud with Copeland, and the belt needs to end up on somebody else. The ultimate goal should be Copeland and Christian getting back together and doing their tag team run, but they don't need to be world champion. They just don't. It would help, but long term, there are AEW OGs that would fit into that role instead. But the predictions I will make, I'm not confident at all. Jon Moxley will lose his title. Cope will win it, obviously, because that's the only way to do it. Unless you pull a WrestleMania 41, a WrestleMania 31 scenario, and somebody cashes it in midway through to make it a triple threat. But my crazy prediction, because again, why be boring? It's just a bald idiot talking on the internet, is that Jay White walks away from that pay-per-view as the AEW World Champion. And then we just get into all the feuds. And again, do not forget, if he is the champion, he is a heel. I understand you could say, well, we could do that with Moxie as well, but he has all this other story stuff. I just think if Swerve and Hangman start going after the belt, I mean, they'll fall out anyway because they hate each other, but they are baby faces, so it does make more sense. And it's a reason for, you don't want to do heel versus heel or babyface versus babyface. I mean, you could do, I don't know, it's something to discuss, but I don't want to just say Jon Moxley wins. If that does happen, that's boring. I want to spark comment and suggestions in that comment thread below, so make sure you join it. But yes, I'm going with Jon Moxley loses, Jay White, maybe Christian. Here's the check, maybe Adam Copeland. I'm so bad at this. One of them is going to be the champ. It's not going to be Moxley, and I'm going to go Jay White. Now, that was gibberish, but make sure you do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the notification bell. Click the video on the screen, and of course, GrillerMind.com/Simon. Use the code Simon to get 30% off. I like all of these, and just, there's a description down there. It's got my social media handles, my pro wrestling tees, my big cartels, all of that. Support me as best you can. I always do appreciate it. And share the video. That would rule as well. And subscribe. Go click other videos and leave it on. YouTube doesn't know. It's all about the algorithm. But thank you for joining me. Again, I'm sure this is out of date. I will be back to it soon, probably Monday, which is a few days after this. Mostly, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your time. Speak to you soon.